right, this is for lesson 6-7. This is on interest, principal, rate, and time. This is very real world, guys. When you go to borrow money from a bank or get a car loan or any of those kind of things, or even open a savings account, all of these factors come into play. And it's very important to know how this works. So let's take, for example, let's say that Tristan, he borrowed $14,500 from the bank, and he promises to pay it back over 5 years. So in 5 years, he'll have it all paid back. And the bank is charging him a 7% interest. How much will he repay? So our formula for this is going to be interest equals principal times rate times time. This is always going to be your formula to solve these problems. We don't know the interest, so we'll keep I. Our principal is the money amount, so $14,500. The rate is going to be your interest rate, but remember we need to move this to a decimal. So we go to the left, and we get 0.07. So we go 0.07, so times that, and then times the time, which is how many years? That's 5 years. If I multiply this all out, my interest equals $5,075. So that does not mean he only pays back $5,075. Look at the original amount. Obviously, he's going to have to pay back more. He borrowed $14,500. This is just the interest. This is how much the bank is charging him. It's kind of like a fee. So the bank will give you money, but you got to pay them back the original amount plus their fee amount, which is their interest. So now let's add that to the $14,500 he borrowed, and his grand total comes to $19,575. This is the total. So if a question asks what is the interest, this is the interest. And if the question asks what's the grand total, that's the grand total there. All right, let's try another one. Let's say that you have $315 borrowed at a 6% interest, and this is going to go over 5 years. Okay, interest equals principal times rate times time. Okay, interest we don't know. Principal is the money amount, which is $315, times the rate. Again, remember this is going to be to the left, so it's 0.06. So we get 0.06 times the time, which is years, in this case 5. Multiply this all together, and our interest equals $94.50. Now that's just how much the interest is. This is also known as simple interest. So if a question asks what's the simple interest, that's just what that means. Now let's add that to the $315 from the total amount borrowed, and we wind up with a total amount of $409.50. This is your total. Okay, let's try another one. Let's say that Jules, and this is from your homework worksheet, borrowed $500 for 3 years. And of course I'm writing this shorthand, at 6% interest. Okay, fill in our formula. I equals PRT. I we don't know. Principal is the dollar amount, which is 500. The rate is going to be our percent here, which is going to be 0.06. And our time is going to be our years, which is 3. If you multiply all of that together, you get your interest equals 90. Okay, again, this is your simple interest. Okay, now we add that to our $500 that we borrowed from the beginning, and that gives us a grand total of $590 total. All right, last one, friends, and I'm pretty sure you can catch on by now. Let's say we have Karen has $250 in her savings. Okay? She kept that $250 in that savings. She didn't add any money to it. She didn't take any money away. She kept that in there for 8 years. And the bank is paying her this time, so I'm going to put paid her an 8% interest. Okay, so which means we're going to take our formula. Interest equals principal times rate times time. Interest we're solving for. Her rate is 250. Or her principal is 250. Her rate is 0.08. And her time is 8 years. So if we go 250 times 0.08 times 8, we get our interest of $160. So because she had her savings account with this bank and she went over 8 years, the bank gave her $160 on top of what she originally put in there. Okay, so now if we add this to the original amount she's had in there this whole time, that means now she has a total of $410 in her savings account. She started off with $250 and it's grown to $410. Now, if the question's just asking for the simple interest or the interest earned, okay, interest earned, that's going to be the $160. If it asks for the grand total, then it's going to be the $410. Okay, hopefully this helped you on 6-7.